It's been really tough this week to try and, talk about the Dallas Cowboys in this matchup. It's been really just I've been really focused on more us because we are getting in our own way, and now this really has to be talked about.
You better do. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope it's on a fantastic day today. So, it's gonna be a little bit of ranting. It's gonna be a little bit. It's just gonna be the same as it has been all week because now you're a few days away from playing another week of football in a really important game against the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, haven't talked much about Dallas this week because after an important, loss, uh does that loss versus the 49ers, the embarrassing loss, take a toll on us here? How do the Eagles respond this week? And to be honest with you guys, like, I don't care what AJ Brown said. I don't care what players are saying. Oh, we're going to vote. Just watch come Sunday. Just watch. Like, I don't care about that emotional bullshit crap talking. We're going to prove you wrong this week. Well, let me see it. Let me see what you're going to do. Unfortunately, being that emotional going to another game is not going to be good enough. It's down to Nick Sirianni in this offense. The defense is a whole nother story, which we'll get into. But offensively, okay, we'll get into the Dallas Cowboys a little bit later. But this offense, I mean, the creativity is so bland right now. I think we all know this. I mean, I think the Eagles are like dead last in like motion plays. I mean, the Eagles barely use motion. The only motion I ever see is when they use Kenneth Gainwell on the backside motion, which I still don't know why they use it, man, through the between the 20s regardless. We obviously know our number one thing right now is getting DeAndre Swift involved because that's your juice. That keeps the grease on all the gears, keep everything else going. You get an 8-yard run with Swift and like the offense gets jump started and everyone's excited and the energy comes back. And it's just a huge difference having Swift because literally he was so mad in that game and why they kept all the starters in with 2 minutes left. They kept all the starters in the game. I don't know why they did that either when, Swift took an unnecessary hit from a shitty pass from Jalen Hurts and, thank God he's okay and playing this week. But this is the offense has to run through DeAndre Swift. 18 to 25 carries. I don't care if there's 5-6 games left or not. Don't give a shit about that at all. Okay? Offensive line, I really didn't have a problem with even during San Francisco. I thought the protection was great, but your choice of plays, no RPO. I mean, you want to fake out. I mean, when you're playing a team, I mean, it doesn't even matter what team it is. Like, you're facing a team with especially good linebackers like what the 49ers have, and you barely use that. I know the Eagles have been very good against Micah Parsons, but it still doesn't fix anything. Okay, to look bland and look bold and just look, there's nothing much there. It's inside zone, or it's when Hurts gets pressured, he rolls out to his right. And I think there's opportunities missed from Jalen Hurts, too. I think he's going back because you're not establishing a run game. He's getting, his pocket awareness is good at times. And there's other times where he's taking unnecessary sacks. But there's times where he's rolling out too fucking early. But when you're not getting your run game successful, can't do play action pass. Okay? Play action, play action, play action, play action. It just doesn't work that way. We talked about this a million times this week. There's just no creativity. It just looks like shit. I mean, Nick has got to take his hands off this offense, at least a little bit. Because if BrianJohnson's adding to it, it's not adding very well. And what BrianJohnson has done, I mean, we could probably say that BrianJohnson has done more than Nick because maybe BrianJohnson is the reason why we've had these second half comebacks. Now, obviously, Dallas Goedert coming back is going to be huge for this offense because it's going to open a lot for A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown's been doubled. And, Dallas Goedert's got, a bone to pick with the Dallas Cowboys a little bit. A Cowboys cornerback, pretty much broke his forearm, on purpose, pretty much. At this point, you're trying to hurt him and take him down any way possible. So he gets back into this game and adds a huge element here, no doubt. Adds a huge element to your offense. And, I think Hurts has been not 100% healthy, but I think has looked better with running with his legs. But I don't know why they took away the RPO and why they took away so many things that have helped this offense. And they still don't think DeAndre Swift is like the main guy, the main back. You have 4 running backs on this roster. It's already enough that Rashad Penny gets no snaps. But I'm liking how they have been getting Boston Scott somewhat involved at times. And then there's the last couple games where Gamo wasn't really involved that much and more of Swift. And it worked. And yet Swift gets less opportunities, not just as a running back, but Swift in the passing game is a whole nother element that is a huge mismatch. If a head coach is holding this team back, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Hiring from within is fine, as much as I'm not a big fan of it at times because sometimes it just doesn't work. But you hire from within because the head coach still has control on these guys. That BrianJohnson is a yes man to Nick Sirianni. Desai is a yes man to Nick Sirianni. Nick wanted his defensive core. He wanted the Jonathan Gannon defense from last year, the bend don't break defense. And he wanted one of his own guys to incorporate what Nick wanted to do, but add a little bit of flavor of BrianJohnson in there, which we have seen. BrianJohnson hasn't been perfect either, but I got to put more blame on the head coach. You can't get 10 wins for the season, and, you're at a crucial point of the season now. A crucial point where the Eagles could lose first seed. The Lions still have an easy schedule. The 49ers have an easy schedule, and I don't see them losing anytime soon. The Dallas Cowboys, win. They win. Obviously, it is what it is. It's that, they're tied with us at this point if they win this game on Sunday. Shouldn't make us feel – it's just not going to make me feel good. It's not going to make me feel good losing 2 games straight. Because if this, I don't really know how many changes they're actually going to make. Like, you're telling me right now that the Eagles are totally making so many changes this week with the coaching staff, and everyone's got to look themselves in the mirror. And obviously the players need hopefully in these meetings have really voiced their opinion on what the fuck is going on. Because this, I can't even think about Dallas. Look, they're home. We haven't beat Dallas in a while. The Cowboys are just going to play better because they're just going to look better than us. I hope that's not the case. It's going to be a close game, but the Eagles could put over 40 points, 35 to 40 points on any team in the league right now if they really wanted. But because of the subpar play calling and how they want to incorporate analytics into their offense, they're going to stoop down to other teams' levels. And they're going to play like they're a 2-10 team instead of a 10-2 team. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they're a lot better than what we know they are. But because of Nick, and he's got to let some control go, man. Like, coaching is coaching. As a head coach, I have no problem with him. But if this is what's going to happen every single season, like if the Eagles go into 24 next year with the same coordinator or the same scheme on both sides, you're not going to have high hopes for the season. I don't care what players you get. Okay, Sean Desai is another one. Okay, Sean Desai literally is another guy that has been like all over the news as well, because at least with Sean Desai, I'm getting a humbleness from him. Like, when Sean Desai knows he fucked up, he'll tell us he screwed up in games. And he's told us that. He told us that this past week. It's all on him to make these consistent, better play calls for your defense. Now, guys, you know how I feel about adding players to a roster. I don't think it means much of anything. Adding another player is just adding another failed player to your scheme. It has nothing to do with, oh, if you add this one player, it's going to change your defense. It's not going to happen. The players since literally last year have been bailing these defensive coordinators out. Nick Sirianni wanted to hire a defensive coordinator to run the same scheme, which we all know. And there are games this year which I really did like from our defense. Tampa Bay, the second half of the Rams game, showing a lot of resiliency against the Cowboys. Like, there's been some really good games this year from our defense. And then there's games where they just look as flat as shit, like that 49ers game. I really hope it's left a bad taste in everybody's mouth right now. As much as we think Slay has played bad, Bradbury has played bad. Bradbury was barely, I don't even think he was targeted by Brock Purdy. Slay only gave up like 30-something yards. I mean, it may not look like it, but with bad tackling from your linebackers, bad tackling from your secondary, that's what's going to happen. Missed opportunity. Like, if you play the bend, don't break, you move your corners back and you leave everything open underneath and you can't tackle, that scheme is just, it should be thrown away at this point. You're not going to survive an NFL season like this. I don't think Desai's changing what he's doing. We're not going to see more man-to-man. I mean, we'll see a little tiny bit, but I'm not expecting that many changes with this defense. Okay, Shaq Leonard's playing this week. Hopefully plays a big part into this defense, kind of like a proving to himself to the league that he's still an all-pro. Obviously off of 2 back surgeries, which is very hard for a player to get off of. It's going to be tough. There is no point to draft a Jordan Davis. No point to draft Jalen Carter where you just can't take away the first option when everything's open underneath. I need to see a swarm of Eagles to the football, and I'm not seeing that. Every time there's a dump-off pass, it's always a one-on-one tackle. The guy gets 25, 30 yards. I don't get what everyone else is doing. Stay in your perimeter and just wait for someone to run by you is all I see. I don't know what it is. I don't get this defense. Defense is going to get smoked. It's been getting smoked. It's been showing the signs. We've all known this since the beginning of the year. Okay. I want to go into Dallas and annihilate them, but I know it's not going to happen. I know the Eagles are either going to win by a close game or they're going to get annihilated. Simple as that. I don't know what team we're getting this week. I'm really back and forth with how we're going to play in this game on Sunday. And of course, when the chips are down and this is the most important game, or at least the most important time of the season, where now, like, we're going to find out what first seed is in a few weeks. And the division. Eagles should lock up division just because of the conference wins. I think we'll have the division. I'm not really worried about that much unless they really fumble the opportunity here, which I hardly doubt. The Cowboys have to face a few AFC teams, so it's not going to make a difference. They still got to face the Bills in Miami. I mean, we face more conference and won against more conference NFC teams than they have, and they have some AFC opponents at the end of the year. So the Eagles can the Eagles can really take the division, I don't know, by Christmas time at least. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm kind of getting into this whole entire thing. Okay. First seed, I don't know. First seed now, the Eagles, because Detroit seems like they're not going to, they lost on Thanksgiving. They won last week. Saints almost came back and won, but it is what it is. But if you want to ask me how much is going to change between both sides this week, I honestly have no idea. Because I'm telling you right now, if the Philadelphia Eagles lose, if they get knocked out the first round of the playoffs, the head coach is going to be literally first thing on my list. Simple as that. Because I think Nick is a great players coach. I think players believe in him. I think players want to play for him. But putting his hands on an NFL playbook is not going to work. Using analytics and not getting a feel. When you use analytics too much for your offense, you're not getting a feel for the game. You don't have a feel for football. How do you find out what your identity? We don't even know what our identity is yet. What is our identity? It's almost the same every week. Like our identity is let's pass as much as possible, throw that dagger shot downfield, try to score early, and if not, we're just going to turn everything into the run game in the second half and put all the pressure on Jalen Hurts in that offense and make him look really great, which he has been. I know a lot of bullshit's been going around. The Eagles are written off. The Eagles are not talked about. Jalen Hurts, David Carr talking about his shit on Jalen Hurts being benched for Marcus Mariota, all that. I mean, they're taking this team off the rails right now. It's not panic mode for the Eagles. There's quick fixes that can be made. Quick fixes. But how much is going to change this week? How are they going to respond? I don't give a shit how emotional players are. And that's a start, but it all comes down to play calling. Like being emotional doesn't win you games. You have to balance out that emotion. You have a football game to play regardless. So as emotional as you can be, you have to be stat on Sunday versus the Cowboys. I'm tired of the shit talking. I just want them to do it and get it done. That's all I'm looking for this week. Dallas is good at home. Dallas knows how to run a fucking offense. If the Eagles got their shit together, imagine they'd be undefeated right now, and they would be scoring 35, 40 points a game over that. That's how good the Eagles are. But because they lowered their standard in coaching and how they coach, they're gonna look worse than the teams we should be beating by multiple touchdowns this year. I'm not even kidding. I have a lot of faith in the roster, but the coaching is just it's when you don't change your scheme and don't make adjustments. I mean, they lost against the Jets. They didn't make any adjustments at all. But the adjustments in game have been horrible. In the second half, they've been great, but it has finally caught up to the Philadelphia. It has finally caught up to them, and we got to see that they got out. They got outmaneuvered in physicality and toughness. I mean, like I said, like a million times, I'll just say this once in this video, more than the loss that hurt me against San Francisco, how they were in the heart, in your own city, at your own stadium at the Link, and you got taken a shit on like that, really bugged me. It really bugged me that Big Dom situation with Devontae Smith and Greenlaw. That situation kind of sparked up the Eagles on its own when it was really too late to make any changes. You know what I mean? So this week is so important. I wish we made changes earlier, week 5, week 6, because the only thing that's on the Eagles side right now is time. The Eagles have time. The Eagles are going to be in the playoffs regardless, but obviously everybody is like number one seed. Eagles home advantage. No one can beat us in Philadelphia. Well, a team just beat you in Philadelphia last week. And I really hope that doesn't happen again because that was just god-awful. But we are going to stoop down because I know we're better offensively. There's no excuse. We don't have injuries to our offense. I mean, besides Dallas Goedert's been out, really, you have a top 2 offense here. Top 3 offense, really, that's underperforming because of coaching. They're better than the Cowboys. They're better than KC. They're better than the Bills. They could have get comfortable games by 3 touchdowns, at least 2 to 3 touchdown scores. They could have been so much more comfortable. But because of how your defense plays, your defense does not complement your offense. It just doesn't. It just doesn't do enough for me. As the bend don't break, it doesn't do much for me as having a nice combination between your offense and your defense. There's not enough aggressiveness. We can't hit home on pass rush. Our corners are going to have good games, bad games, but the adjustments are just not made. And Desai has shown that, I don't know. The regular season's regular season, but at least with the regular season the regular season games are a nice resume of what you could see in the playoffs. And once you get into the playoffs, it's a clean slate. Like the regular season does not matter. Okay, we've learned this from last year, and this defense has looked worse than Gannon's, and it's actually really sad, very sad, very, very. And the scary part about it is I think Gannon's defensive line in Arizona has more sacks than the Eagles this year. And Kaiser White's played fantastic. Kaiser White's played fantastic in Arizona. TJ Edwards has played fantastic in Chicago. Beyond. Probably one of the biggest mistakes. I guess the Eagles coaches don't know how to use linebackers as much as wanting to draft them early and put money into that position, whether it's free agency or something like that. And this is what you have to deal with. Do I think now with Zach Cunningham coming back, hopefully after this week, that this linebacker core could change? Sure. Zach Cunningham, Shaq Leonard, sounds pretty damn good to me, especially if Shaq Leonard comes out in Dallas and he plays really good. That's going to be high hopes here. But I don't know what team we're getting this week. I wish I could tell you. I wish I had the answers. I wish I had the inside scoop on things, but I don't, because I'm just a fan just like you guys. I sit back, wait, and we either see if it's going to be a fucking nightmare or it's going to be greatness for a game. If it's going to be a nail biter, it's going to be a nail biter. I don't really have too much faith in them making too many changes. Unless Dallas falls flat and plays a bad game and the Eagles just take advantage of that, I hope I'm proved wrong. I want to be proved wrong. I want to say that they're going to play bad this way they play good, like kind of like opposite day. But for me especially, Nick is holding the team back, and it's a problem. And if this is what you're wasting Jalen Hurts' years, you're going to be wasting years of good, great regular seasons and then falling flat in the fucking playoffs or the Super Bowl. And that's what I don't want. And it's going towards that fucking direction really quick, really fast. So that's all I really got to say. That was my rant for the day. The Dallas Cowboys, going to be a tough game on Sunday. And how tough are the Eagles going to make this game? That's the question. That's how it's been all year. And they've been making it tough, way too hard on themselves. The adjustments have to be better. And you can't just play one good quarter of football this time. This is a division rival that knows we know both teams and both players. And it always goes either way because, like I said, it is the division game. Let me know what you guys think of the score of the Cowboys-Eagles game. Do you think Nick Sirianni is the main problem? And obviously he's been running things. So do you think Nick is more of on the hot seat this year if, the Eagles get into this situation? Because this is all because of Nick. Nick hired these two guys. Nick uplifted BrianJohnson to offensive coordinator, okay? BrianJohnson might go be a head coach somewhere next year, okay? Sean Desai is what Nick wanted in the scheme, to run the scheme. And I don't not like Sean Desai as a person, or I think he tries, but this defense shouldn't be run in the NFL. I'm not saying you have to play man-to-man, in-your-face football every single snap, but there's got to be a combination. I think some of the bend don't break has worked out really well. We're not giving up those big plays, but you don't have the right personnel at certain positions to swarm to the football, to get off blocks. I think there obviously is holes on your defense. There's no doubt. You have aging corners. You have a linebacker position that's changing every fucking week. And, it's the first seat. We need the rest. I think the number one thing that's going on right now is that teams are healthy and teams are coming off a lot of rest. The Eagles have been fucked the last couple of weeks. San Francisco came off 10 days of rest. The Cowboys are coming off 10 days of rest. The Cowboys are healthy. Besides a couple of injuries, the Cowboys are healthy. San Francisco is healthy, and obviously the Eagles. This isn't, and trust me, this is not an excuse. This isn't the main reason at all. I'm just discussing that the Eagles they're banged up. There's no doubt they've been banged up since the first week of the season, and they've been fighting every week, and they have 10 wins. So they got to fight another week. They got 2 primetime games, and then they go through a schedule where we're gonna see where everything lines up, where everything goes. Guys, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys on the next one. Chicks, well, follow, peace out, guys. Peace.